First story. The apartment above me. I live alone in a small apartment complex in St. Paul, Minnesota. It's one of those old brick buildings with thin walls, creaky floors, and the kind of charm only cheap rent can give. I moved in about 6 months ago after a breakup, hoping for some quiet and space to start over. The first few nights were normal. The neighbor upstairs was loud, though I could hear footsteps, furniture moving, and sometimes what sounded like pacing at odd hours. I didn't think much of it, old building, thin floors. But around the third week, the noises changed. Instead of walking, it sounded like dragging. Like someone was slowly dragging a heavy piece of furniture across the floor. At 3 a.m. every night. One night, it stopped directly above my bed. Then a thud, followed by silence. I couldn't shake the unease, so I mentioned it to the landlord. He looked confused and said, "That unit's been empty for 2 months. The last tenant moved out in July." I thought maybe someone broke in, so he promised to check. The next day, he said the door was still locked, windows sealed. No sign of entry. That night, I barely slept. I sat in bed, phone recording, lights off. At 3:07 a.m., right on cue, came the dragging sound again, directly above my ceiling. I froze, staring at the timestamp on my phone. Then I heard it. 3 slow knocks on my ceiling. I played the recording back the next morning, and you can clearly hear it. The dragging, the knocks, and something else. A voice whispering, "Downstairs." I moved out the next day. Second story. The visitor on the baby monitor. My sister and her husband had their first baby last winter. I often helped them babysit while they both worked night shifts. One of those exhausted new parent setups where you're just trying to survive the week. They had one of those Wi-Fi baby monitors with a camera and mic. It streamed straight to their phones. One night around midnight, I was in the living room scrolling on my phone when I heard faint static from the monitor. Then a click, like someone switching channels. The video feed turned from the baby's crib to complete darkness. I thought maybe the app glitched, but then the audio picked up something. Slow breathing. Not the baby's. Then a whisper. "He's still awake." I jumped up, ran to the nursery. The baby was asleep, safe. The door was locked, windows shut. I called my brother-in-law, panicking. He told me to unplug the monitor and reset it. When he got home, we checked the footage from the app's cloud backup. There, for about 5 seconds, was a figure standing in the corner of the room, motionless. We took it to the police. They said the monitor's IP address had been accessed remotely by someone in another state. We replaced it with a non-Wi-Fi model the next day. Sometimes I still think about that whisper. If it wasn't directed at the baby, maybe it was meant for me. Third and last story. The house at the edge of town. When I was 17, my friends and I used to explore abandoned places around our small Colorado town. One night, we decided to check out an old farmhouse on the outskirts, rumored to have been empty since the 80s after a family disappeared. It looked exactly like a cliché haunted house, sagging roof, broken windows, and an overgrown yard. We went in with flashlights and recorded everything for fun. The air inside was thick with rot and mold. We found old photographs still hanging on the walls, family portraits with faces scratched out. Upstairs, we discovered a locked door at the end of the hallway. The handle was rusted, but one of my friends, Mason, kicked it open. Inside was a small bedroom, and on the far wall, written in what looked like charcoal, were words. "We never left." I laughed nervously until my flashlight flickered and caught something. In the corner, a figure crouched, pale, eyes wide open, watching us. We bolted. Mason swore he felt a hand grab his jacket as we ran down the stairs. When we got back to the car, we checked our footage. In one of the clips, just before Mason broke open the door, you can hear a faint whisper on the audio. "Don't open it." The next day, Mason showed me his shoulder. There were deep scratches, 5 lines like claw marks. The farmhouse was demolished 2 months later. But sometimes late at night, Mason texts me random photos, dark rooms, hallways, and says, "Do you see her too?"